So landlord harassment is on the rise, mainly by master tenants and small landlords. And there are no easy solutions. You call the police and they take the landlord's side. And we had one where they really did show up in riot gear. You can insist on a criminal prosecution for breaking the law, but we've never been successful at that in most jurisdictions. When I was a young lawyer, I worked in Santa Monica, and the city attorney enforced laws that protect tenants. He also wrote the Santa Monica Rent Stabilization Ordinance. So if a landlord locked out a tenant, I didn't have to call the landlord, threaten to sue them, or pretend that I was going to sue them. All I had to do was call the city attorney, and a police car would pick me up and take me to the place, my client too, if my client was with me, and then the police would arrest the landlord if the landlord didn't put them back in. That's what we need the enforcement to look like, but it doesn't look like that. What actually happens if there's an illegal lockout is if the tenant is inside the unit, the police probably won't put them out. But if they're already out of the unit, they probably won't put them back in. And I'll talk about that in a little more detail in a moment. You can file a civil lawsuit, but if it's a small mom and pop landlord, if the landlord, usually this happens when landlord is renting a room in their house or a bootleg unit, lives on the property. If those are the facts, and that's a landlord that's barely making their mortgage, so you get a big judgment against them, how are you going to collect it? So lawyers won't take the cases because these are not insured claims. You can file for injunctive relief, which is what we call a temporary restraining order that then turns into a permanent restraining order. They are hard to get. They have to have a lot of evidence in order for them to be issued, but it is a way to do it. The problem is if you try and fail, it'll get worse because the landlord will be bolstered. So you have to make sure that you're going to win. The real cure for harassment is renter power. And one form of renter power is to join an organization and get the support of the other members in getting the landlord to stop harassing you. But it also starts with you. I have calls from clients all the time. Oh, the landlord's harassing me. Well, how is he harassing you? He keeps texting me. Block the texts and don't check them. Block them and don't check them. Calling me, block the calls. Emailing me, send out an auto reply. Comes knocking at my door all the time. That one is tougher, but you can put a sign on your window. By joining one of these organizations, you get to use their sign and their support. This is the one for ACE, Pasadena Tenants Union, the LA Tenants Union, and they basically have this message. Your actions violate state or local emergency tenant protection measures, but this can be the message you send in your text. Please stop texting, calling, emailing, knocking on the door. Put all requests into a proper notice so that I can take it to my tenants' rights organization, my tenants union, or our solidarity attorney. Okay. There are new laws and some strengthening of penalties. So we managed to increase the penalties under the state law. And there are new anti-harassment ordinances in the city and the county of Los Angeles. But again, we need to persuade the private bar, private attorneys to file these lawsuits because otherwise they're not very useful. We can talk about this in more detail at this webinar Saturdays at 9 a.m.